The Florida heat clung to everything that night in July 2003. Thick and suffocating like jealousy-made air, Sandee Rozzo had just finished her shift, laughing with the girls in the parking lot, her red hair catching the neon glow of the strip club sign. She never saw the black Honda Civic idling across the street. Headlights off, driver's seat occupied by a ghost-white blonde gripping the steering wheel, so hard her knuckles screamed. Ashley Humphrey had been watching Sandee for 38 days straight. Not casual glances, full surveillance. She knew Sandee bought iced coffee every morning at 6:47. Knew she kissed her 8-year-old daughter goodbye on the porch at 7:12. Knew she sang off-key to Britney Spears on the drive home. Ashley knew because Sandee was the woman who still lived inside her husband. Tracy's phone, old texts, old photos, old love. The woman who'd almost destroyed him with a false accusation years ago. The woman Ashley had decided no longer deserved to breathe. At 2:14 a.m., Sandee pulled into her driveway. Ashley was already there, parked 2 houses down, heart hammering louder than the crickets. She watched Sandee step out, heels clicking. Unaware death wore yoga pants and a ponytail tonight. Ashley raised the Glock 19 her husband didn't know she owned. One breath, two, the first shot shattered the driver's side window in Sandee's shoulder. The second and third found her chest as she tried to crawl toward the front door, leaving bloody handprints like desperate signatures on the concrete. Ashley walked up calmly, stood over her, and fired once more into the back of Sandee's skull just to be sure. Then she whispered the words she'd rehearsed for weeks. "He was never yours to keep." She dragged the body inside, staged a robbery, wiped the prints, but as she stepped back into the humid night, something moved in Sandee's darkened window, a reflection that wasn't hers. Sandee's eyes wide open, staring straight at her, lips curling into a smile that said, "This isn't over." Ashley ran, and somewhere behind her, barefoot on the blood-wet driveway, soft footsteps started following. Ashley thought the hard part was over. She was wrong. 3 days after the murder, Tracy proposed on the beach at sunset, ring hidden in a seashell like some influencer would later call romantic. Ashley said yes, while gulls screamed overhead like witnesses. They flew to Costa Rica the very next morning, honeymooning in a villa overlooking the jungle. Passport still warm from the printer. Ashley finally slept without nightmares until the 4th night. She woke at 3:33 a.m. to the sound of wet footsteps in the hallway, bare feet on tile, slow, deliberate. Tracy snored beside her, dead to the world. Ashley reached for the bedside lamp. Nothing. Power was out, but moonlight spilled through the open doors, painting the room silver. There, at the foot of the bed, stood Sandee. Not a ghost, not exactly. Her red hair dripped seawater and blood, white tank top clinging translucent to 8 bullet holes that oozed black sand. She smiled the same smile from the driveway. "You took what was mine," Sandee whispered, voice layered like 1,000 voices underwater. "Now I take what's yours." Ashley screamed. Tracy jolted awake, saw nothing, told her it was just a nightmare. But the wet footprints stayed, leading from the bed to the balcony and over the edge into thin air. Back in Florida, detectives were closing in. A single drop of Ashley's blood from a cut on her hand the night of the murder had been found under Sandee's fingernail. Tracy's gym membership card was in Sandee's purse. Phone pings placed both their cars near the crime scene. The noose tightened. And every night, no matter which hotel, which country, Sandee returned, closer, louder. Once, Ashley opened the bathroom mirror to brush her teeth and found Sandee already inside it, pressing bloody palms against the glass from the other side, mouthing a single word over and over. Soon, Ashley started sleeping with the Glock under her pillow. She told herself it was for protection. She never admitted it was because she was starting to hope the next bullet would be for her. August 2004. Ashley and Tracy were back in Pinellas County, pretending to be newlyweds while the police circled date on the calendar bled red. Arrest day. Detectives knocked at 6:02 a.m. Tracy opened the door in boxers. Confused, Ashley stood behind him in an oversized t-shirt, hair still wet from the shower, and smiled like someone who had been waiting for this exact moment. Handcuffs clicked. Charges read, first-degree murder. Both of them. Tracy's face collapsed when he realized his wife had framed him as accomplice from day one. Inside the interrogation room, Ashley finally broke, but not the way they expected. She laughed first, a high, cracked sound, then started talking about wet footprints. About Sandee sitting on the edge of their bed every night, humming lullabies to a child who wasn't there. The detective asked for motive. Ashley leaned forward and whispered, "Ask her." That same afternoon in the holding cell, the lights flickered. The temperature dropped 20 degrees. Every woman on the Block 4C started screaming at once. Guards rushed in to find Ashley on the floor, clawing at her own throat. 8 perfect bullet wounds had opened across her chest, blood pooling in the exact pattern Sandee wore the night she died. No weapon, no sharps allowed in holding. Medics couldn't explain it. Later, during the Piers Morgan interview years into her life sentence, Ashley spoke calmly into the camera. "I thought killing her would make her disappear. Turns out death was just her invitation." Lifted her prison shirt without warning. The wounds were still there, raw, weeping, never healing. 8 black mouths that opened and closed like they were breathing. The feed cut to static for 3 full seconds. When it returned, Piers was alone. Ashley's chair was empty. Only wet footprints led away from it across the studio floor, and straight through the sealed fire door that hadn't opened in 12 years. Sandee had finally collected. They buried Ashley Humphrey in an unmarked prison plot 187. No ceremony, no flowers. The warden signed the death certificate. Exsanguination from unexplained chest trauma. Case closed. Or so they thought. 3 nights later, Tracy, still awaiting trial in solitary, woke to the sound of a child crying. His daughter, Sandee's daughter, was 16 now, living with grandparents, yet the sobs came from inside his 6x8 cell. He pressed his face to the food slot. A little red-haired girl sat cross-legged on his bunk, back turned, rocking. "Daddy, why did you let her hurt Mommy?" The voice was Sandee's, aged 8. Tracy screamed for the guard. When the lights snapped on, the bunk was empty. Only 8 tiny bloody handprints decorated the wall, perfectly spaced like bullet holes. Years passed. The Piers Morgan interview clip went mega viral. 187 million views and counting. Every viewer who watched till the end reported the same thing. At the exact moment the feed cut to static, their phone flashed a single push notification from an unknown number. "You took what was mine." In 2023, the old interview studio was demolished for luxury flats. Construction stopped on day 4. Workers refused to enter after, finding the sealed fire exit door ripped off its hinges from the inside. On the concrete behind it, someone had carved a message with what looked like fingernails. "I'm still collecting." Tonight, somewhere in the world, another woman is scrolling past this story. She thinks it's just another true crime rabbit hole. She doesn't notice the wet footprints appearing behind her on the hardwood floor. Doesn't hear the soft whisper counting down from 8. Because Sandee Rozzo never wanted justice. She wanted every jealous heart that ever pulled a trigger to feel exactly what she felt that night. And she has eternity to finish the list.